There is something about betrayal that changes you forever. The pain is not like a wound that bleeds and heals with time. It is something far more insidious, something that seeps into your soul and lingers in the spaces where trust once lived. It is the kind of hurt that doesn't just fade away. It stays with you, reminding you of the hands that inflicted it, the words that cut deeper than any blade, and the moments when you realized that those you loved the most were the very ones who poisoned your heart. You never expected it. It came without warning, like a storm on a calm sea. One moment you were standing on solid ground, believing in love, trust, and the goodness of people. Is it the next the floor beneath you was gone, and you were left grasping for something, anything to hold on to? But there was nothing. Only silence, only darkness, only the echoes of their cruelty ringing in your ears. And in that moment you ask yourself, why? Why would someone who once smiled at you now take pleasure in your suffering? Why would someone who once claimed to care about you turn their back so easily, as if your pain meant nothing? Was it your fault? Were you too kind, too forgiving? Did they take advantage of your heart because they knew you would never do to them what they have done to you? You lay awake at night, reliving the moments, dissecting every word, every action, trying to understand what went wrong. But the truth is, there is no logic in betrayal. There is no justice in cruelty. People who betray, who deceive, who manipulate, they do so not because of your weakness, but because of their own brokenness. They think they are above consequence, that they can move through life leaving destruction in their wake and never have to answer for it. But they are wrong, because the universe is watching. God is watching. Every act of betrayal, every deceitful word, every time they inflicted pain on another with selfish intent, it is being recorded. And what they do not realize is that the world moves in cycles. What they send out will return to them, sometimes gently, sometimes with force. But it will return. It always does. Karma is not a myth. It is not a fairy tale created to comfort the brokenhearted. It is a law written into the very foundation of existence, an unshakable truth that governs every action, every choice, every consequence. No one escapes it. No one outruns it. They may think they have, but time has a way of catching up. And when it does, it is merciless. You may not see their downfall. You may never witness their moment of reckoning, but it will come. It may not happen in the way you expect, but the pain they inflicted will find its way back to them. The universe does not forget debts, and God does not overlook injustice. The hands that once reached for you in deceit will tremble with the weight of their own actions. The hearts that once hardened against you will feel the crushing grip of regret. But you must not wait for that moment. You must not live your life hoping to witness their suffering, because that keeps you bound to them. That keeps you chained to their darkness, and you are not meant to stay there. Let go, not because they deserve peace, but because you do. Let go, not because you forgive what they have done, but because you refuse to carry the weight of their choices any longer. The pain they caused you is not yours to hold, it is theirs. It will return to them in time, and when it does, they will understand the depth of the hurt they once dismissed. And when that day comes, you will not care, because by then you will have already healed. You will have risen above the ashes of your suffering, stronger than they ever thought you could be. While they are forced to face their own reflection in the mirror of karma, you will be walking forward, free, whole, untouched by their fate, because what they did to you is no longer in your hands. It is in God's hands, and His justice is absolute. There is a divine law that governs the universe, a law that cannot be altered, ignored, or outrun. It is woven into the fabric of creation, an unseen force that ensures balance, justice, and consequence. And yet there are those who believe they are exempt, who move through life causing harm as if their actions will dissolve into nothingness. They deceive, manipulate, and destroy, thinking they will walk away unscathed. But what they fail to realize is this: no one plants thorns and reaps roses. No one sows destruction and harvests peace. The law of return cannot be broken. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to prosper despite the pain they've caused? Why they move forward as if karma has turned a blind eye? It can feel unbearable watching the very ones who wronged you thrive while you are left with scars they will never acknowledge. But do not mistake delay for escape. Do not mistake God's patience for his permission. The wheels of karma turn slowly, but they turn with certainty. Everything they have done, every lie, every betrayal, every moment they discarded your kindness as if it were worthless, is being counted. The harm they caused was not buried. It was planted. And when the time comes, they will reap a harvest they never prepared for. That is how the universe works. That is how God works. He is a God of justice, a God who sees beyond what human eyes can perceive. And while you are healing, rebuilding, and restoring, they are unknowingly walking toward the consequences of their own making. But here's what you must remember. You don't need to witness their downfall. You don't need to hold on to anger, waiting for the day when they suffer as you did. That is not your burden to carry. The law of return is not in your hands. It is in God's. And when he delivers justice, it will not be in the way you imagined. It will be far greater, far more precise, and far more devastating than anything you could have orchestrated. Because what they took from you wasn't just trust, wasn't just love. It was a piece of your soul, a wound that took time to heal. And when karma comes for them, it will not be a momentary regret. It will be a season of reckoning, a long and painful realization that they cannot undo. The pain they gave you will become the lesson they can never escape. And here is the most powerful truth. When they finally feel the weight of their actions, you will no longer care. Because by then, you will have already stepped into your healing. While they are drowning in the consequences of their own making, you will be free, untouched by the storm that they created. That is why you must let go. Not because they deserve peace, but because you do. You must walk away, trusting in the divine law that governs this world, trusting that every seed planted, good or bad, will grow in due time. What they have done is not forgotten. The pain they inflicted will find its way back to them. Just as surely as the sun rises and the seasons change, there is nothing hidden from God, no betrayal, no lie, no injustice escapes his sight. He sees what was done in the dark, the whispered words meant to break you, the silent harm inflicted when no one was watching, and he remembers. It is easy to feel forgotten in your pain, to wonder if the heavens have turned a blind eye to your suffering. You pray for relief, for justice, for a sign that the weight you carry will not last forever. And sometimes, in the silence, doubt creeps in. You wonder if they have truly gotten away with it, if your tears were in vain, if your kindness was wasted. But listen carefully. God's silence is not indifference. His delay is not neglect. He is simply preparing their reckoning. You see, when God moves, he moves in ways beyond human understanding. He does not strike with anger. He corrects with purpose. He allows people to build their own destruction, to walk freely until they are entangled in the very web they spun for others. That is why some people seem untouchable for a season, because God is giving them time, not to escape, but to repent. But most do not repent. Most mistake God's patience for permission, believing that because the consequences haven't come yet, they never will. That is their greatest mistake. They do not realize that the longer the delay, the heavier the judgment. And when it comes, it will not be subtle. It will not be a simple inconvenience. It will be a storm that strips them bare, a reckoning that leaves them with nothing but regret. What they did to you will return to them multiplied, because that is how karma works. That is how divine justice unfolds. But here's what you must understand. God does not want you waiting for their downfall. He does not want your heart consumed with thoughts of vengeance, of hoping to see them suffer. That is not your role. Your role is to heal. Your role is to walk forward, trusting that what was done in the dark will be answered in the light. There is a verse that says, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked." A man reaps what he sows. That is not a suggestion, it is a promise. It means that no one gets away with anything. The ones who hurt you, the ones who discarded you, the ones who left you broken, they will answer for it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but their time will come. And when it does, it will not just be about their suffering. It will be about your restoration. Because while they are facing what they tried to run from, you will be walking in the life that God has prepared for you. You will be healing, you will be rising, you will be stepping into a joy they will never understand. That is why you must not waste your time chasing justice. It is already coming. Your only task is to trust in the process, to keep your heart free from bitterness, to keep your eyes forward. What they did is in God's hands now. And His hands do not forget. Pain has a way of making us feel isolated, as if we are standing alone in the aftermath of betrayal, abandoned by the world and forgotten by God. The people who wronged us seem to move on effortlessly, untouched by guilt or consequence, while we are left carrying wounds they refuse to acknowledge. And in those quiet moments of suffering, doubt creeps in. Does God see? Does He care? Will this pain ever be answered? Let me tell you something that must be engraved into your heart. Your suffering is not ignored, and your pain will not go unanswered. The wounds they inflicted upon you were not unnoticed, nor were they in vain. God saw it all. He heard the lies, He witnessed the betrayal, and He felt every tear that you shed in silence. Do you think that the Creator of the universe, the one who formed the stars and holds time itself in His hands, would allow injustice to exist without consequence? Do you believe that the pain you endured was for nothing? No. That is not how divine justice works. God does not allow suffering without reason, and He does not allow wounds without redemption. The thing about karma is that it doesn't strike immediately. It waits. It waits for the perfect moment, the precise time when the lessons must be learned, when the balance must be restored. And when that moment comes, it does not arrive gently. It arrives with the full force of what was sown. You may not see it. You may never witness the day when the people who hurt you feel the weight of what they have done. But rest assured, it is coming. It always comes. There is a reason why Scripture tells us, "Vengeance is mine, says the Lord, I will repay," because God knows that revenge is a weight too heavy for human hands to carry. If you try to make them suffer, if you try to take justice into your own hands, you only tie yourself to their darkness. And you were never meant to stay there. Your pain is in God's hands now. It has been recorded in the heavens, etched into the order of the universe, and it will not go unanswered. The people who hurt you will not walk away untouched. They will be forced to face the weight of their choices, whether through circumstances, through loss, or through the inescapable grip of their own regret. But your role is not to wait for that day. Your role is to heal. Do not waste your energy wondering when their suffering will come. Do not hold on to anger like a shield. Let it go, not because they deserve peace, but because you do. The moment you stop looking for their downfall is the moment you step into your own freedom. Because the universe is not blind. God is not silent. And your pain, the pain they thought they could walk away from, will be answered. There is a burden that many carry, a weight that presses down on the heart and suffocates the soul. It is the weight of injustice, the heaviness of betrayal, the overwhelming need to see those who have hurt us suffer for what they have done. It is natural to want justice. It is human to crave balance, to demand that those who caused us harm feel what we felt, that they experience the very pain they inflicted. But here's the truth that will set you free. That weight is not yours to carry. There is an order to life, a divine rhythm that governs every action and consequence. And when you try to control justice, when you hold on to resentment, you are stepping into a battle that does not belong to you. It belongs to God. You were not meant to carry the responsibility of punishing those who wronged you. That is not your role. Your role is to rise, to heal, to let go of the darkness they left behind, and to walk forward unchained. Think of it this way. If someone poisoned you, would you keep drinking from the same cup, hoping they would suffer from the same poison? No, you would let it go. You would walk away. And yet so many of us drink the poison of resentment, thinking it will bring justice, when in reality it only keeps us connected to those who harmed us. The irony is that the people who hurt you have likely moved on. They may not think about you at all. They may not even remember the pain they caused. But if you hold on to resentment, if you dwell in anger, then you are still shackled to them. You are still giving them power over your emotions, over your peace. Let me ask you, why would you allow someone who hurt you to still have control over your heart? Why would you let their actions dictate your future? They took enough from you already. Don't give them anything more. When you release the weight of resentment, when you surrender the need for revenge, you are not excusing their actions. You are not saying what they did was acceptable. You are saying that they no longer have control over you, because the truth is, karma is already working. You do not need to interfere. The people who hurt you will face what they have done. And when that day comes, you will be far beyond their reach. While they are drowning in the consequences of their own making, you will be walking in peace. So let go. Walk away from the anger, the bitterness, the endless cycle of wanting them to hurt. Because you were not created to live in their darkness. You were created to rise into God's light. Patience is one of the hardest virtues to embrace when you've been wronged. When someone has betrayed you, lied to you, humiliated you, or crushed your trust, the natural instinct is to want immediate justice. You want to see them suffer the way you suffered. You want to see their world collapse, just as they tried to collapse yours. And when it doesn't happen right away, frustration sets in. You begin to question whether justice will ever come. But here's what you must understand. Karma does not work on human timelines. The justice of the universe does not operate according to your schedule. Just because you don't see their downfall today doesn't mean it isn't coming. Just because they appear to be thriving doesn't mean they have escaped what they've done. Think of a seed planted in the ground. When you bury it in the soil, you don't see any. You water it, you wait, but for weeks, maybe even months, it seems as if nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, in the unseen realm, a transformation is taking place. Roots are forming, the process is underway, and then one day, when the time is right, the seed breaks through the ground and grows into what it was always meant to be. Justice works this same way. The pain they inflicted has already set the process into motion. You may not see the consequences yet, but they are growing. The weight of their actions is forming underground, unseen but inevitable. And when the time is right, karma will emerge in full force. Patience is power. It is trusting that the universe keeps perfect balance. It is knowing that nothing goes unnoticed, nothing is forgotten, and nothing escapes the justice of God. Those who hurt you have a debt to pay, and it will be paid. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it will happen. And when it does, it will be at the exact moment when it is needed most. But patience is not just about waiting for karma to strike. It is also about choosing to rise above the anger that seeks to consume you. Because the truth is, when you are obsessed with seeing their downfall, you are still letting them control you. You are allowing their actions to dictate your emotions, and that is a power they do not deserve. Instead of waiting with bitterness, wait with faith. Live your life, heal, move forward. While they are busy walking toward their own destruction, you will be building a future where their actions no longer affect you. You will be free. And when karma finally arrives at their door, it will find them completely unprepared, while you will be too far ahead to care. Because that is the beauty of patience. It allows you to release the burden of revenge and trust in something greater. It gives you the peace of knowing that justice is already unfolding, even if you can't see it yet. There is a dangerous trap that many fall into after being wronged: the obsession with justice. The desire to see those who hurt them suffer becomes an all-consuming fire. They check in on their betrayers, hoping to see signs of their downfall. They replay the pain in their minds, fueling their anger, holding on to resentment, waiting for the moment when they can say, finally, they got what they deserved. But here's the truth. Your healing is more important than their punishment. What they did to you was real. It was unfair. It was painful. But if you continue to focus on them, you are allowing them to steal even more from you. They already took your trust. They already caused you suffering. Will you let them take your future too? Will you let them continue to control your emotions, your thoughts, your peace? This is where karma and divine justice play their greatest role. Karma does not just punish those who do wrong, it restores those who were wronged. If you choose healing, if you choose to rebuild yourself instead of waiting for their downfall, the universe will respond in ways you never imagined. But here's the problem. Many people think healing will come after justice is served. They believe they will find peace when they see their enemies suffer, but that is a lie. Healing does not wait for their punishment. Healing begins the moment you stop looking back. Think about it. If you spend all your time looking back at the people who hurt you, how can you see the path ahead? How can you walk toward your future? If your eyes are locked onto your past, you cannot move forward if you are still tethered to what broke you. This is what many fail to understand. They think that their peace is tied to their enemy's suffering, that they can only breathe freely when justice is visible. But peace is not found in their downfall. Peace is found in your decision to let go. And letting go does not mean forgetting what happened. It does not mean excusing their actions. It does not mean pretending the pain was not real. Letting go means refusing to let their actions define the rest of your life. Karma will find them. Their punishment is inevitable. The pain they caused has already created a debt that must be repaid, but that is not your concern anymore. What you must focus on now is your own restoration. Resentment is a chain that binds you to the very people who hurt you. When you dwell in anger, when you replay the betrayal, when you hold on to the bitterness of injustice, you are not punishing them, you are punishing yourself. Think of it this way. If someone poisoned you, would you keep drinking from the same cup, hoping they would suffer too? No. You would throw it away. You would walk away from the poison, not because it's fair, but because it's the only way to survive. But how many of us keep drinking from the cup of bitterness, thinking that our anger will somehow bring justice? How many of us stay attached to pain, believing that our suffering will somehow make things right? That is the lie of resentment. It convinces you that holding on to the pain gives you power, when in reality it keeps you shackled. It keeps you trapped in the past, unable to move forward, unable to heal. And healing is what matters now. The people who hurt you, they will face what they have done. But you must decide whether you will continue carrying the burden of their actions or whether you will set it down and walk into your freedom. But you ever noticed how some people seem to thrive after betrayal? How some people, after being deeply wounded, rise up stronger, wiser, more successful than ever? It is not by accident. It is because they made a choice to focus on their own journey instead of their enemy's destruction. This is how divine justice works. It does not just punish the wicked, it rewards the righteous. When you choose to focus on yourself, when you choose healing over hatred, when you decide that your growth is more important than their suffering, you step into the blessings that were meant for you. Doors open that you never expected. Opportunities arise that you never saw coming. You begin to realize that your greatest revenge was never in their pain. It was in your ability to move forward without them. Because nothing unsettles your enemies more than seeing you happy, whole, and untouched by their betrayal. That is the real victory. That is the real justice. You may not see their suffering today. You may not hear their cries of regret tomorrow, but know this: karma will teach them what they refuse to learn. There is a weight that comes with betrayal. It may not show immediately, but it comes. The people who hurt you will one day face themselves in the mirror and realize the destruction they caused. They will look back and see the relationships they lost, the people they pushed away, the love they squandered, and by then it will be too late. That is karma's greatest punishment, regret. When the people who hurt you realize what they lost, when they understand that they destroyed something good, when they see that you have moved on, healed and thrived without them, that is when the weight of their actions will truly crush them. And by then, you won't care. Because you will be too far ahead, too healed, too free to ever look back. At the end of the day, you must decide, will you spend your life waiting for their punishment, or will you focus on your own healing? Because one leads to an endless cycle of pain and the other leads to freedom. Their fate is sealed. Karma is already at work. The justice of God does not fail. But your healing, that is up to you. So choose healing. Choose to walk away from the burden of revenge. Choose to let go of the pain that keeps you chained. Because their punishment is not your responsibility. Your healing is. That is the real victory. That is the real justice. Not their downfall, but your rise. There is a kind of exhaustion that comes from carrying the weight of injustice. It lingers in the heart, gnaws at the soul, and whispers in the quiet moments of solitude. When someone has wronged you deeply, when they have betrayed your trust, discarded your kindness, or harmed you without remorse, it is almost impossible to ignore the ache that follows. The mind becomes restless, replaying what happened, trying to make sense of why they did it, why they got away with it, and why God allowed it to happen in the first place. But here's the truth that must sink into your heart. You were never meant to carry the weight of justice on your own. You see, the reason so many people never find peace is that they believe justice is in their hands. They believe it is their responsibility to see fairness executed, to make sure the person who hurt them suffers in return. And so they wait, they watch, they check for signs that karma has arrived at their enemy's doorstep. They hope for their downfall, as if that will bring them closure. But closure doesn't come that way. It never has. It never will, because justice, true justice, does not come from human hands. It comes from God, and God does not rush. He does not act out of anger or pettiness. He is not swayed by emotions the way people are. His justice is not reckless, nor is it easily manipulated. It is perfect. It is precise. It is absolute. But it takes faith to believe in that. It takes faith to let go of the bitterness, to release the anger, and to trust that what was done in darkness will be brought to light in the way God sees fit. It takes faith to trust that nothing, absolutely nothing, goes unnoticed by Him. When you hold on to resentment, when you dwell in anger, when you seek revenge, you are in essence saying to God, I don't trust you to handle this. I don't believe you see what they did to me. I don't believe you will make things right, but He does. He always does. The reason many people never heal from their wounds is that they keep trying to play a role that was never meant for them. They take justice into their own hands, and in doing so, they carry a burden too heavy to bear. And what does that do? It drains them. It poisons them. It keeps them trapped in an endless cycle of pain, anger, and waiting. But you were not meant to stay in that cycle. You were meant to be free. Think about this. How many times have you seen people who hurt others live their lives as if nothing happened? How many times have you wondered why they seem unaffected while you are the one left broken? It can be frustrating, even maddening, to watch them walk away unscathed while you struggle to put yourself back together. But let me assure you, they have not escaped. No one escapes the justice of God. It may seem like they have moved on, but they are only running on borrowed time. They are moving toward their own reckoning, even if they do not see it yet. The weight of their actions is already following them, and when the time comes, they will feel it in ways they never imagined. That is how karma works. That is how divine justice unfolds. It's not always immediately, but always inevitably. So you must make a choice. Do you trust God or do you not? Because if you trust Him, then you do not need to carry this burden any longer. If you trust Him, then you do not need to monitor their downfall. If you trust Him, then you can let go, not because you are weak, Not because you are excusing what they did, but because you refuse to let their actions define your future. This is where peace begins. Peace does not come when they suffer. Peace does not come when you see their world fall apart. Peace comes when you decide that their fate is no longer your concern. Peace comes when you trust that God will handle them and that he will handle you. You have a purpose beyond this pain. You have a destiny beyond this betrayal. You were not created to sit in anger, waiting for justice. You were created to walk in faith, trusting that it is already being delivered. And here is something you must understand. When you truly let go, when you truly trust God, that is when you begin to heal. Your healing has never been dependent on their suffering. Your healing has never been tied to their downfall. Your healing has always been waiting for you on the other side of surrender. But surrender is hard. It feels unnatural to release the pain, to let go of the need for retribution. Instead, it feels unfair to walk away when they seem to have won. But the truth is, they have won nothing. What they did to you has already sealed their fate. They do not realize it yet, but every act of betrayal, every lie, every moment of cruelty has already created the consequences they will one day face. They think they have moved on, but they are walking toward a day they cannot escape. And you? You have the power to walk in peace. You have the power to heal. You have the power to say, I trust that God sees everything. I trust that he will handle what I cannot. I trust that I do not need to waste another moment of my life waiting for justice, because justice is already in motion. This is where you reclaim your power, not by seeking revenge, not by hoping for their pain, but by rising above it, because the real victory is not in their suffering, and the real victory is in your freedom. There comes a moment in every journey of pain when you must make a choice. Will you remain bound to the hurt, or will you release it into the hands of God? The betrayal, the lies, the cruelty you endured, it was real, it was painful, it was unjust. But the truth is, justice is already in motion. Karma never forgets. The weight of their actions will return to them, not because you wish for it, but because that is how divine justice works. No one escapes the consequences of what they have done. But your future does not depend on their downfall. Your future depends on your ability to let go. Let go of the bitterness that poisons your soul. Let go of the anger that keeps you chained to their darkness. Let go of the need to witness their suffering, because it is not your burden to carry. Justice is not yours to execute. It never was. It belongs to God, and he has not forgotten you. He has not ignored your pain. He has not overlooked what they did. Every tear you shed, he counted. Every silent cry he heard. And the people who hurt you will answer for what they did, not in your timing, but in his. Not by your hands, but by his. So walk away from the weight of revenge. Step into the peace that comes with knowing you are not responsible for their fate. You are responsible for your healing. And healing begins the moment you choose to trust that God is handling everything. The pain they gave you, it is no longer your burden. It is no longer your fight. It is in God's hands now. And when God takes over, justice is inevitable. Now breathe. Move forward. Live your life. Because you were never meant to stay in their darkness. You were meant to rise into his light.